You're listening to another episode of Mr. Allard's Neighborhood. This is the place we're entitled to Brad's opinion. And now for your host, Brad Allard.
Well, we're on despite the best efforts of Burlington Northern. If you're coming to Crowley right now, you might want to consider an alternative route because we have a train that's about 3 miles long bisecting this town, and it ain't moving. It made us a little bit late. How did you get here, Antonio?
Just rerouted.
Rerouted, yeah.
Thank God for GPS.
Yes, that's right. I had Taylor give me a heads up and make a route, but it still took us a little longer. But having Antonio Basalo here is going to talk about not only his business, but also his background, because what he went through as a young man, it really relates to what's going on now, because one of the big stories I'm quite sure will be this summer is going to be the situation down at the border. It's going to be, I think it's going to dominate the news because it's going to be intense. If you're not really aware of what's going on, there's something floating out there called Title 42, what that was the ability of the government to prevent immigration because of the COVID restrictions. And the Biden administration is going to drop that in about 5 weeks. And it's already starting to have an impact in the south border here because a lot of people from Central America are moving up here in huge numbers in anticipation of that being dropped. I think it's like May 23rd or something like that. But it's a lot more nuanced story than that. Antonio has one as well, so we're going to talk about that. But also tell us just briefly what your business. We're going to talk about that more in the second half of the show.
My business is called Proactive Payment Solutions. It is a merchant service business. We provide services for POS, your point of sale systems, in order for you to sell whatever you're selling, your items, to your customers. My company, offer cheap rates for you in order to do so. So competitive prices.
Prices, yeah.
Find the right words.
Well, when we first met a few months ago to hook him up as a sponsor, he'd kind of hold my hand and tell me what it meant because, as Taylor can well attest, I am not the most technically advanced person in the room. But anyway, so it's a great business, and it's a very pertinent business, to say the least, for what's going on today, because so much is being done in retail differently, because not just because of COVID, because of technology and whatnot. But before we jump into the deep end of the pool and we talk about the more serious issues, let's thank our sponsors for making this possible. We have CrossFit Burleson at 317 South Wilshire. It's a great workout. Now, you're into CrossFit, are you not?
Oh, yes, sir, I am.
Okay. You may not use this particular gym, but you use one probably very similar to it.
Yes, I do. I've been doing it for about 7 years now.
Well, describe briefly a typical CrossFit workout.
Oh, man. It was really funny. I'm currently studying to be a certified one, and I was just reading over this, and there's a definition for CrossFit, and I'm so embarrassed right now because that wasn't my first thing to think of. But but it's a particular set of movements that involves your body, that involves your entire body. I guess that's the best way.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like cross training, and you want to be a trainer, and so Daniel has trainers and he has programs. It isn't just go in there and throw a few weights around.
It's a great program. I mean, it's what people have in their mind. What CrossFit is just a bunch of jacked up people just throwing weight around and running 5 miles with 20 pounds on their back. Like, no, it's available and accessible to everybody at any age, at any stage in their life. Doesn't matter if you're 15 to 90. I mean, you can get in there, and there's always a set of particular movements that you can do that substitute, that movement you're doing. So it's anybody can do it.
Well, and Daniel has trainers and programs, so it is, like I said, it's not unsupervised or just you'll have a regimen as opposed to just, what do I do next? But then thank you to Shandy Stogsdill Realty Group. Now, you're electrician by trade, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, good. But she probably could put you on her list because she also is really good about connecting people to whatever they have needs for their house other than just real estate.
Yes.
Yeah, it's the whole services. I mean, we've talked about this. She's on about once a quarter to talk about real estate. But anyway, if you want to move in and around this area, you better talk to Shandy because it's getting very difficult. Every year or every day, it seems like the home values are rising. Also, Rex Russell over at the Russell Wealth Group. He's right now having a charity I guess, skeet shoot just north of here. So I hope that's going well for you. But Russell Wealth Group, hit the link, myfinancialbox.com, and get to know him, get to see how he can help you with your retirements, 401ks, business plans, whatnot. He's got the whole thing. Also, thank you to Gayla Moores at Southern Gym. Hope things are going well. I know that you've had, well, I don't want to get too personal, but she's had, there's a family situation, I believe. And so I hope she's doing well, and I hope she's, we'll see her next Wednesday. But she had a death in the family, one of her elderly relatives. So anyway, I hope she's doing well.
Condolences.
Yes, it is. It's sad, but she was, I talked to her about it, and she was a Christian woman, and so she's at peace about that. So anyway, it's Mother's Day coming up, and so check out the jewelry, check out the inventory. If you need it cleaned, you need it repaired, she can do it for you. And also Hotworks. You familiar with this type of workout?
No, I'm not. I have friends that do that, and they say they have a blast doing it.
Yeah, it's infrared workouts, and they have all the different type of regimens for that, like Pilates or the Peloton, the bike, or the rowing, or yoga, or
Oh, yoga. Yoga is just now that's a lot harder than most people think. It's you just stretching and breathing. I'm like, okay, all right. You do that.
Yeah, and so it's over by the theater and the Kroger over there on John Jones. You don't live in Burleson still, right?
I just moved to a house in around North Crowley.
Okay, so you're close enough,
Yes.
and so you've seen all that growth. I mean, you graduated from BHS when?
09.
09. And even in that 12-year period or so, you've seen Burleson just change a lot.
Oh, what's quite a bit.
Well, let's go back to that time, okay?
Segway Sally, I love that.
Yeah, no, I like to say it's a skill, but not really. You came here as a very young child, did you not?
Yes, sir. I came here when I was 5 years old.
5 years old. From where?
Philippines.
Okay. And your sister was about 2?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I believe so.
She graduated from Burleson at 2012, I believe.
2012, yes.
Okay. You, of course, being a little kid, had no idea about the situation about your coming here to America.
Absolutely not. And during that time, all I knew was that my mom, she became an RN in the Philippines and came over here, better job, better opportunity, more money than the Philippines. I'm like, all right, that's cool.
Yeah.
My dad tells me, hey, we're going over here. And it wasn't really a big deal to me until I touched down in California. And I don't know, as soon as I touched down, the air smelled different. It was yes, and it wasn't like it was a stench. No, it was like I could tell I was somewhere different, but I didn't know where I was.
Right.
And then from there, I went to Texas, and it was I could truly tell I was somewhere different because, well, I mean, most of the people around me didn't look like me. So
well, yeah, but to be honest, I mean, for most Anglos like me, if you will, most gringos, we don't differentiate. I mean, I guess there is some differentiation, but when I ask somebody where they're from, I can't guess if they're from Nicaragua or Guatemala or Mexico. So, and I don't care either. I mean, I'm not trying to point them out. I guess I just don't think about it that much. But I guess you kind of were in a situation where every now and then you had to think about it.
Yes. It was odd doing that because I was literally the only, I guess, only Filipino. It was predominantly black and Mexican and Latinos, and then sparsely, some white.
Did you know English at 5?
I grew up speaking English. Actually, how it really was is my mother planned to come over here, so I grew up speaking English. Right now, I'm just learning how to speak my dialect, Tagalog. I'm still in the beginning phase. It's like
you're having to relearn your birth language. Huh?
Just having to do that, and that's I should have known it by now, but that's my responsibility, kind of thing. But I feel like I'm now at this age. I feel like I should have been deeper with my roots. right now.
Well,
So
it's kind of hard when you're trying to make a living and establish yourself, but it's like when you were my student, it never crossed my mind that what your direct ethnicity was. You're just the kid in my class, right?
mhm.
And I get at the beginning of the year, I'd get the breakdown of my students, and then the box would be checked, either white, black, Hispanic, move on, and that's it, and it didn't differentiate, and I didn't care, because what difference does it make?
No.
It didn't make any difference. And you and your sister both are very good students. You were in my AP classes and you did really well in them. And so, that's all I worried about. But I guess now we're in a situation, because of your situation, we have to think about these things some more. So you are a DACA kid, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, for those who are not familiar with it, they're also called dreamers, if you will.
Yes.
This is the 2013, I believe it was.
Obama administration program, and I was told about it because my mom, she, God bless her, decision she made raising us. I mean, being a single mother, didn't. Just wasn't really sure some of the decisions she made, but every decision she made, she, didn't really look back. She kept going forward with it. Right now it's just, it's, I have a different point of view from it, from her. Because growing up, I was a little, when I found out, I was a little angry.
But you were, how old, about 21 when you found out?
Around that.
Right. So it wasn't like...
Oh, actually, okay, I rephrase.
Okay.
I found out whenever I was 17, whenever I tried to enlist.
Oh, okay.
And a recruiter asked for a green card, and I was like, I don't know what that... Actually, he didn't say green card. He just said the official form for it. Yeah. And I asked my mom. She goes, we don't have one.
So all this time that you're here, from 5 to 17, you'd never even occurred to you...
Had absolutely no idea whatsoever.
Yeah.
I lived my life just like every other kid I grew up around. Didn't matter, black, white, purple, green, yellow. I mean, we did everything. Play outside as kids. Got in trouble. Like American way of life. I guess most people would say.
And you went to school. You got stuff like that.
All that. And it wasn't until that time like I found out. I was like, well, that's really weird. So I looked more into it, and it really broke my heart.
Yeah.
It's I mean, it still breaks my heart. And I had to learn just to, do what I can with that. Find steps to, find lawyers, if so, to see what I can do about it. And it was a long, arduous process just to be able to get through the DACA program and get because what it does is gives me the ability to work.
Well, it just from what I would think, because you knew maybe your senior year in high school, sounds like, but you really, your mother must have been very concerned about repercussions. I'm just kind of trying to put myself in her position in a sense. She comes over here and gets a job as a nurse, right? Mm-hmm. And why did not anybody ask her then about her status?
So from what I understood, she told me she told me that the people she was dealing with processed everything legally, but what they were doing was like a scam or something like that. Okay. They were overcharging, bringing other people along with it. So they would my mom would probably pay double just so their friend or so can come to America. Yeah. Something like that. That's from what I understood. And she kind of just got it in her head, and because it wasn't to a company, when she made that check, is to a specific person.
Right.
So she stopped dealing with it. And then from then on out, as a single mother who just came over from overseas, an immigrant, 2 kids in a small apartment. I mean, like, what was the first thing you want to do? You want to take care of your kids. Right. You're not going to want to okay, I'll go through custom, to the government, because her fear was, if you contacted them, what if they said, okay, well, you said you're a co. Come on over here. We'll kick you out the door. No, she didn't want that. And I assume that she did get nervous as it went along, because now as a grown man, I could see in her eyes, I can remember that she was broken because, I don't know, her kid wanted to go, but couldn't because she almost felt that it was her fault. Like stuff happens.
Well, I
mean,
know, but you know, and I can have a great deal of empathy for your mother because she probably lived with that fear of being discovered all this time.
oh yeah,
And then, you know, here you are, you're 15, 16 years old. Your sister's about 12 or 13. And she may have feared they're going to toss you back to the Philippines, which really, for you, is a foreign country.
mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
and particularly for Josie. She probably has hardly any memories of the Philippines.
Oh no, she doesn't. She doesn't really remember whatsoever. All she remembers is just here.
Mm-hmm.
And growing up as well, like my mom told me, don't get in trouble. You know, got in a couple fights, getting, you know,
Who doesn't?
you know, cop here and there, you know.
A cop
and
here and there.
She would tell me,
Yeah.
you know, that happens. You're gonna get, you know, you possibly can get deported. You know, I don't believe her, don't believe her, but you know, you still do your best because it's just an inconvenience to get in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and
But you were in trouble a lot. I don't remember that.
no, not really, because I was like, oh, I wanted to go in the Navy. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a career.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I wanted to do. So I was like, because that kind of motivated me to stay out of trouble. So, you know, just did my best with that. And like I said, it just broke my heart. That's all. That's all.
Yeah.
I can say.
So from about 17 until the DACA program was put into place, you just kind of kept this to yourself. Did Josie know?
She was still in school.
Yeah.
And she knew of it, but I didn't think it really impacted her that much. Just from my point of view, because she was dealing with, you know, ROTC band, and she was. My dad was, you know, here, check out these scholarships for college, and you know, she's looking at all this and that. I mean, I guess she was preoccupied to kind of figure out that, you know, it was. I wasn't saying she was, what is the right word? Empathetic of me.
Yeah.
Like she was aware of what was going on with me. I guess.
But she's a little kid, more or less. And
Yeah.
so we go up to 2013, and Mr. Obama puts his plan into place. And I remember, I'm sure you have maybe a different recollection. I remember it being pretty controversial. And a lot of people were very upset because it was not done through any kind of legislative act. It was done through an executive order. And previously during the campaign, he said, I don't have the authority to do it. Well, then son of a gun, a year later, he finds that authority. And I guess if I had any criticism of DACA, it's the process, not the impact, because and primarily I have you and your sister to thank for that perspective, because what it was, well, tell us the process of going through the DACA program.
Well, roughly, they want all your records from the time that the port that you entered through to the States, they want to map every footprint that you did. You know, from this location, what's the address to here? How long did you stay there? Who was there? You know, and there on out, what school did you go to? Who was the teacher there?
Yeah.
Do you have a report card? And then what city were you in? Do you have that address of the apartment? We need a bill. It was a lot of evidence. Like you got a lot of proof that you had to do. And like I said, I got in trouble between then, and it was a lot of paperwork. I mean, it's just a lot of paperwork. But other than that part of me getting in trouble, it was you literally had to map out your entire life from the point you landed here to now.
Well, obviously the trouble wasn't that severe because, you know, according to the plan, if you had some sort of significant infraction, that would have been a disqualifier.
Fortunately, it wasn't significant.
Well, that's good. All right. Well, but you know, at the time, people who were critical of it said basically it was just amnesty. It was a get out of free jail card. But
I remember that.
A lot of people say, wait a minute, you know, they're now they're going to become citizens and all this other business just by a wave of Obama's hand. It really wasn't quite that easy, because what I remember them doing, you know, you and your sister having to do and everybody else having to do is a great deal of documentation, including you and your sister came to me to write letters of recommendation, which I was glad to do. There's also a third person that did the same thing. Somebody you probably wouldn't know because they were considerably older. And, you know, it's like, it never even dawned on me that this is something I would hesitate in doing, because I'd seen you and your sister in school. I knew you had a job. I knew she wanted to go to the Navy. and all this other ambition. And so the idea of, the stereotype of coming here to take advantage of us or take advantage of our welfare programs was just total rubbish.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
so
just like with any kind of group, you always got the bad apples in there.
Uh-huh.
I mean, there are people that, kind of do that. I know a couple of DACA people that I used to work with. Whenever the pandemic was happening, they were going through the the unemployment line, and staying at home and being lazy. But the entire time that I was working, in my head, I was thinking like, well, there's no way that the government will let me get an unemployment because I'm an immigrant. That's what I was thinking in my head. I didn't bother asking, because if I bothered asking, then I would start going down the ladder of like, okay, well, I guess if I don't do that, then I guess I can do this. So I just wanted to keep working to at least kind of show that I was active within my work, or within that.
Well, what is your main job, your day job?
I am a journeyman electrician.
Right, and so you're keeping that up.
Yes.
And the thing about it is, I've been reading a lot and seeing on the news a lot about the massive fraud that went on with the unemployment and the payment protection plan. I mean, NBC News has done this big long series on it, and so everybody of every conceivable ethnicity or nationality is trying to get a piece of the action. So the idea that we're being plundered by immigrants is total bull. But anyway, so you go through the DACA program. You still considered DACA?
Yes.
Recipient, I guess is the word.
Yes.
But Josie's in the Navy, right?
No, she's in the Air Force.
Air Force, okay.
She's in the Air Force
Okay, so
right now.
Military, okay, good
Yes,
enough.
she's been in there for quite a while. I want to say like 8 years now.
Wow.
I want to say that, but I could be lying. Probably 6 or 7.
Well, just the point is that here you guys are what are really the story of immigration in a sense. You come here and not just serve your country, but also you build a business. You got your own business, which we'll talk about in a few minutes, and you got a good job and all this other stuff.
Yeah, not to sound more patriotic, but I really wanted to serve more and first than anything. That's really what I wanted to do. I wanted to serve. And
why would you and Josie want to serve this country, even if you're not native born to it?
Because I believe. Okay, quick. I'm gonna try to figure out how to crunch this down as quick as possible. My family, we have a rich history of military history. As you know, we're from the Philippines, and during World War II, my grandmother and grandfather were alive during the occupation of the Japanese, and my grandfather, whom I believe was around 14 or 15 or 16 is what my mother told me. Whenever the invasion happened, he was fighting against the Japanese, and they would hide in the mountains and then periodically come out, ambush him, grab supplies and all that. But he eventually got caught around 17 or 18 and was when he was involved in the battle. I'm trying to think of this. The Bataan Peninsula, along with Allied forces, Americans, Australians, British, and ran out of ammo, food. 2 weeks, nothing. So they surrendered, and then he was part of the infamous Bataan Death March.
Oh my goodness!
And he survived all of that, and got rescued. War's over, and he family is just a bunch of engineers, doctors, lawyers.
Yeah.
And my mom believed coming over here would be better because of rights, especially for women's rights. And she was right, by the way.
Well, I would imagine. And also, if you look at what's going on in the Philippines now with their president, Duterte, who is brutal.
Quite ruthless.
Yes, and
but previously it was quite ruthless.
Too, it wasn't like they had a long history of just benevolent presidents, I know. But so, this is what I think Mr. Obama had in mind, because, the way most of the people I knew, even the conservative Republicans, said, well, at this point, what is the use of trying to repatriate, late teens, early 20-year-olds back to countries they have no knowledge of or whatnot? And I kept reading stories about people in their 30s and 40s getting finally told by their parents, oh, by the way, you didn't exactly come across in the usual manner or the through the official means. And so, what are you going to tell some 30-year-old that, well, okay, you've been living here for 28 years, and now we're going to send you back to Honduras or wherever? That doesn't make any sense. And so I think even most of the Republicans I knew said, well, something had to be done. Most of the Republicans I knew that were very unhappy with Obama was because of the process, more than the actual impact of it. And I think a lot of the people also that would look at it on a global thing say, well, we need to, kick them all out, except for these 3 or 4 here that, work for me or I know personally. They would always make exceptions and say, well, I know that these 3 or 4 people are a great people. They need to be exempt, but the rest of them, move them out. So there's a lot of double standards.
Yes, and it's just growing up through the process and learning. I really believe that if you have a skill that you learned in your previous country and want to apply it here, you should be able to. And if you're coming in here wanting to learn a new skill, a good occupation that we need here in the States, you should be able to as well. And I just hate that this administration that's going on right now is clumping a lot of illegals at the border, and we're crossed over, and dreamers together as one group. That doesn't really tickle me right. I'll just say that.
Well, I know we've talked about this before that the assumption might be that because of your situation that you have a certain point of view of what's going on the border, and the truth is you have a very different point of view.
Yes, very.
And we want to talk about that different point of view after this round of commercials and such or ads, and then we'll talk about that because that's, a lot of people make a lot of assumptions about this immigration issue, about who is involved, what kind of people are involved in it, doing it, whatever else, and on and on and on. But you have a very interesting take on it. So anyway, let's go through the ads. Thank you, Otto, at our place. You've been to our place, I hope.
Yes, sir. Last time I was there about 2 weeks ago because every other week after that I couldn't get in.
Yeah, really. Well, it's Saturdays in particular are pretty busy.
Sundays are a killer too.
Yeah.
Oh man, you got to show up at 9 just to get in at 11.
Yeah. Well, there's a reason for that. The food's good. The service
Yes,
is
it is.
good. Otto's
Yes.
a great guy.
Yeah.
Very generous.
Great service too.
Yeah, and he has a lot of long time wait staff and cooks, and so that's not usual in a restaurant. And so you get to know them almost.
That's good relations.
Yeah. So thank you, Otto, at our place. Thank you to Chris over at Wild Cigar. Are you a cigar smoker?
Dabble about a blue moon.
Yeah. Well, if you ever get the indulgence, that's where to go get one. Wild Cigar is a really big humidor, lots and lots of different cigars. I went there with my son-in-law about a month ago, and it's like, it blew me away a bit how many different types, not just brands, but different types of cigars are. And also you can get yourself a drink. There could be, the Masters will be on this weekend, so you can, have that on in the background. It's a nice place to have a conversation. So there you are. And also your business here, we'll be talking quite a bit about that in about 10 minutes, I suppose. And so you can tell us all the details about that, probably much better than I can, so we'll save that for then. Also, Tuesday, I'm going to have Tiffany on in studio. Local Life is out. It should be in your boxes now or on your coffee table or wherever else. Local Life is a great place to advertise because it goes to 30,000 homes and over 110,000 people, and she's expanding into this area. So she'll be talking to us about what's going on in Burleson this Tuesday here in the studio at 11. Okay. By the way, a couple other things. I'm sorry, I forgot. Also, I promised Chaz Forster I would mention the farmers market, which is going on right now as this is live. So you'll need, drop on by. I'm going to, after the show's over, it's going to be going on to 1. I'm going to drive by. It's on the way home. Why not? And it's a great place for, so there you are. All right. Now, here's the thing. You see what's going on at the border. You see the mass pile up of immigrants, migrants, there's all, politically correct phrases, but we'll just call them immigrants and risk the PC police. They're all trying to break into the border. The assumption would be, as a fellow DACA dreamer, you might have a certain view, but when you see that, what do you see?
I mean, I see people that people that already in this country are bashing and saying that this is the worst place to be in. I see them wanting to come in
Mm-hmm.
and make a better life. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
but the the process going in, I it now I haven't been in any kind of situation that requires me to save my life
Mm-hmm.
as such, but it makes it really difficult for the people that are doing it right, the ones that have to pay their dues and
Mm-hmm.
everything. Now a lot of people argue that, oh, they're escaping war, poverty, gangs,
Mm-hmm.
drugs. I'm like, bro, they got it all over here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we just, it's a different country. We just have the same thing over here. Uh, they're really messing up the process right now for people that are trying to do it right. And I don't say like they as in like, like, oh, with Scott, I'm
Yeah.
not saying like that.
Right. I
I'm
understand.
just I'm just saying that they're messing it up for people. Like I was saying earlier, I don't like that me as a dreamer are clumped up with them in this administration. And from the articles that I've read, that I've understood, was that the process can start with them, with the dreamers, a faster track to citizenship, meaning, say, I already started my process for my green card,
Okay.
but I'm not going to hear nothing in the next 10 years.
Wait, I'm sorry. 10 years, you
10
said?
years. According to my lawyer, there are three countries that are on back order for people coming in. Okay, can you guess at least two?
Well, Mexico will be one, I would imagine.
Mexico.
And Philippines, I suppose.
One of it is Philippines, and our northern brothers, Canada.
Canada. I was going to guess Canada
Yeah.
because a lot of people think illegal immigration is strictly a southern phenomenon when actually we get them from all over the world.
Oh, yeah. And it's a lot. When you hear of immigration, a lot of people think, oh, it's a bunch of Latinos, Latinas. Like, no, they can be Canadian, they can be German, they can be French, they can be African. I mean, it's anybody that's not within this country is an immigrant. And like I said, the process, it really makes it hard for people like me to be able to move forward. But hopefully what this administration is promising, and according to my lawyer, is that us, the dreamers, if get a faster track to citizenship. If we already processed the green card, that green card would be pushed immediately to the next process. I'm not telling you to give me the thing. I'm just telling you to go to the next process to make it faster for me. And I believe from their point of view, the illegal immigrants, they just have to provide some kind of birth certificate and form of address or something like that, just so they can get some kind of special work permit or so that allows them to work 10 years, and then they are possibly eligible to apply for a work visa.
It's a pretty complex process. Well, properly understood. I look at those people, and I don't regard them as human rubbish because these are most of them. There's a few bad apples in there, but most of them are just trying to escape poverty and violence. And their parents or their young people trying to say, I don't want to live like this anymore. I want to live in a country that they've seen probably on the media, as a promised land, or they hear from their relatives in the United States. Well, it's so much better here. Or, my kids are in school and all this other business. So I don't look upon them as, rabble, because I just have to wonder if I lived there and I had the opportunity to get out of there, and I had small children, what would I do? But then, and this is the very, very, very serious, we can't allow an open border. I think most people I know understand that we need to be treated humanely, but we can't just allow massive numbers just to rush through the border, because it does put tremendous pressure on our infrastructure, our schools, our hospitals, whatnot. I think a lot of people, they do look upon it with a racial attitude because of the ethnicity of we're talking about in the southern border, Mexico or Guatemala, Honduras, and that plays a role in it for some. But I think a lot of them, it's not, they're going to come here and alter our culture or politics, everything else. Yet the truth of the matter is, from my experience, is like by the second or third generation, this is not a real word, but the Latino-ness of the person is really almost secondary to that person.
Yes.
You don't walk around strutting your stuff about I'm a proud Latino. I mean, it probably didn't enter your thinking at all, except on very rare occasions, right?
No. It's like I said, whenever I was growing up as well, my first thing was like, okay, I know I was the only Filipino, but I didn't think I was like special or anything. So I was just, when in Rome, do as Romans.
Right.
I just, I blended in, just kind of. It was just part of it, just get westernized.
Well, and
pretty
that's what
much.
happens.
And it's you're so enveloped in it that whenever I'm talking to people and then they hear that, oh, you were born in another country, I was like, you sound like you're from Fort Worth.
Yeah,
Like,
sure.
Like I thought you were born here. That's 100% of the time. That's always what I hear. It's when they ask me like, oh, where are you from? It's mainly like, what's your origin? And I guess you could word it differently, but yeah, it's
Well, it was as a teacher, I'd have Latino students, or at least their last names were Latino, and that they spoke zero Spanish, and they didn't really. They may have had a quinceañera at 15, or they may have, gone to something with their abuela to, whatever. But as far as like that being a dominant factor in their lives, it really didn't. It wasn't. It just really wasn't. No more than, I'm fourth generation Swede and German, and I could give two hoots, and that's kind of what their attitude was. Okay, and so and plus in Texas in particular, you have so many Anglo-Latino marriages that it's so common we just don't even think about it. But to get back to the border area, I have concerns. Not so much that they're going to come and change our culture, but they are going to come in and put such pressure on hospitals and schools and public services and other facilities that it will be a real problem. Plus the fact, kind of what you alluded to, we have people all over the world that are trying to get in here the right way. We need to prioritize them as opposed to just, well, we couldn't handle our business down in the border, and so we're just going to try to make something work.
Yeah, a lot of it too is there's no lack of manpower for one, and two, there's no coordination between the state and federal to help, or at least find some kind of security or so to make it happen. Which, in my opinion, is going to be impossible to monitor that entire border. I mean, there may be pockets here and there, but even then, there's always going to be holes in there. But also the rampant part of the cartel as well.
Right.
I mean, I'm sure you've seen videos of them, parents paying cartel men to bring their kids, and their videos of drone footages of cartel members just throwing kids over the border as young as 1, 2.
Yeah.
And and then they run away. Like, what are they called? Coyotes? Yeah, they're called
coyotes.
coyotes.
I was gonna bring that up.
And then the sad thing is, Border Patrol sees it.
Well, here's the thing is also about Border Patrol. The people that are pushing for a greater amnesty for these immigrants try to characterize it as a racial thing, yet the vast majority of the people that do the law enforcement are Latino down there. The sheriff's departments, the Border Patrol. The idea that there's some sort of, I don't know, genetic companionship, I suppose. I don't know what the word, compatibility, that's the word, that the Latinos in South Texas would be sympathetic to this is not true at all, because what's happening, from what I've read from multiple news reports, that the Latino population there probably have a harder view about this situation than us people up here.
Because it makes them look bad.
Well, it makes them look bad, and it also puts pressure on them, because most of these Latinos that are crossing the border, they're going to hit Laredo, McAllen, Eagle Pass, and those places, and they're the ones that are really having to deal with all this.
Yeah, and it's not all of them, but then you'll have one, maybe one out of I don't know, 60 or so that goes out and does something stupid, and then he gets caught, and then he gets all over the news. Oh, he was illegal across the border. Like, it means all of them are, no.
Well, you read about it on the news about this guy, who committing some heinous crime, and it turns out this is his third time to be in this country, and so you have to try to really work hard to differentiate between those and the vast majority who are just desperate people. But and so it really it tries really puts a test. I guess is a better word. Test is a better word than tries. It really tests our compassion, because you want to be compassionate, but you just know that they're just limited resources.
Mm-hmm.
And also you hear stories about people coming over and then they get on welfare or they get on unemployment or whatever else. And
I know a couple.
yeah, and
I know
it
a
does
couple.
happen. Yeah, it does happen. And that really infuriates people. And I don't blame them. I mean, they come over here. The vast majority I've ever dealt with as a teacher, or, I did a lot of manual labor jobs when I was younger, worked pretty good. I mean, they're good workers, and they weren't there to raise any cane. They were there to make some money and send some back home. But you hear every now and then, you hear of somebody coming over here latching on to the welfare system, and that taints the rest of the group.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how you can stop that, but I had more experience with non-documented students in Texas, as you probably know, and most of my listeners know. We teach who's ever in the district. We don't ask about their citizenship. So I've had students that were not documented. And then in 2014, you may remember this. Remember those trains that were coming up from Nicaragua with all these kids on top?
Yep.
I had 4 of those in one of my classes.
Oh yeah.
All right, they put them in my class, I guess, because they want to keep those guys together. And I had a good reputation for that, for dealing with that. And I know enough Spanglish to kind of get by. Plus, you could print off everything in Spanish off the worksheets and whatever else. And I also had a young man that was similar to you. He was a DACA kid who spoke English pretty well, and so he'd help me with these 4 young men, and they were so appreciative, so grateful to get an education. They were high school students back in Honduras. They weren't like illiterate peasants. They were students there too, but they were just glad to be out of that country, getting an American education. And people say, well, they're taking advantage of the American taxpayer. Well, all I could say is for it's not quite that black and white. Most of these immigrants contribute to our economy in a lot of different ways.
And it's really funny too. It's I found out pretty quickly whenever I started working. I was paying taxes. I was like, wow, I just feel so American right now.
Well, Mr. Biden's gonna make you feel even more American then.
It's really funny that I'm paying all these taxes, which is almost double, almost. It's quite high. That's that I don't have the same rights as American.
Well, and that's the issue. Say, well, immigrants don't pay taxes. Well, they do pay sales and indirectly they'll pay property taxes, but they also keep the cost of labor down. And that's, it's really interesting politically is that used to be the party that was most aggressive against illegal immigration were the Democrats. Not so much anymore, but there's certainly in my younger days.
They had to go back to the drawing board.
Yeah, right. The Democrat Party with the union support was very, very anti-immigration. And, I know we got to have a better system than we have. We got to have something that's controllable. We got to have a way to keep the coyotes and the cartels out, or the traffickers, and that's a problem too.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And we have to have a system that prioritizes those that are like yourself that are coming in and trying to do it the right way. I would say, I just hope that we don't have a crisis this summer where we're having so many people down there that it becomes looking like a third world situation where
that's happening real quick,
mm-hmm.
and it's very. I'm just blessed and fortunate enough to be able
mm-hmm.
to be where I'm at, only because of the decisions of my mother, and her helping me guide of how I should make my decisions while living here in
mm-hmm.
this country. But it's all that going on right there. It really is our president's responsibility
mm-hmm.
to get that work. Don't send any money off. Don't send any money off to Ukraine.
Mm-hmm.
Send that money over here to help us at the border.
We could do both.
I mean,
but we're not.
But we need to. I believe we should focus on the American people first.
Well, the thing about this border issue, this isn't a new one. We've been dealing with it for a while, and we just keep kicking that can down the road because somebody's politics is going to get hurt by it. So anyway, there'll be another time I'll do another show about immigration, probably in the summertime, because I know by June it's going to be pandemonium down there, if it isn't already. And but you're a good example though of what immigrants and immigration can do for this country. So tell us about your business.
My business is Proactive Payment Solutions. I offer low, cheap rates for business owners to process any and all their payments, all the way to card readers, to scanning on your phone, e-commerce, which is stuff you can do on your online sales as well. And what's great about it too is I offer no contract. I've learned that a lot of businesses that I went to and handed out flyers and just talking. I wasn't what I offer. I'm not offering to sell you something that you already have. Like, you already have it. As a business owner, you have a point of sale that that you got to have. All I'm offering is just a cheaper rate that you're paying, because every time somebody swipes a card, every time a customer pays, you have to pay in order to process it so you can get that money. And I offer a cheaper rate for you to do so. And a lot of businesses, like I just said, they have contracts with those merchants. I offer no contracts. You can quit anytime you want.
How did you get into this?
How did I get into it? I've known about it for the past 2 years. It's around the pandemic time. You got to find some. You got to adjust and everything and find ways. But I've been meaning to always start a business. I just never found that niche to like, man, I hate selling this because I don't believe somebody needs this. I used to sell roofs and make some pretty good money doing it, especially commission. But what point was it to me to call somebody like, hey, I need to put this $100,000 roof on your home, even though you don't really need it. Like, it just, I didn't really like it. I didn't enjoy it. Made good money, but I didn't enjoy it. This one right here, I actually get to go out while I'm doing my work and talk to people. Just what I learned about this is just the relations, because what this person is doing is they're basically trusting their business with you to thrive. That's pretty much what it is.
Well, that's interesting because, I'm thinking point of sales. I'm thinking something like that, the farmer's market. You have a lot of vendors there. Could you provide some sort of card reader service for an individual vendor like that?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
See, what my business does, though, it's if we usually do business around profits around 10K. So smaller businesses, we don't do so, but we always help with, say, that farmer's market. You need a point of sales. Okay, well, here you can start off with this. You can start off with a square. You can start off with this. You can start off with that. And as your business grows, you can keep that same program that you're doing, or you can upgrade. And I can help with the process of you getting cheaper rates for that as you're starting to go up.
Right.
Because if you do it now, I mean, you don't really see anything, because computed from numbers, like a big number to your savings. You can see the savings from the huge number, but when you have a small amount, I mean, you just.
Well, I've seen your website, and you offer more than one type of program.
Yes.
I mean, there's multiple ones. I didn't know there's that many out there, to tell you the truth. I thought maybe Square and Venmo I'm familiar with, but there's dozens others, it seems like. And so you help them choose which one is best for them, or they?
Yes. So what happens is I would really start out to make the process work is I would get the business owner's previous statement, last month's statement, and then through the banks that I would send over, qualified banks. It's honestly it's a soft credit check because it's practically a loan, pretty much. Depending on what bank goes with it, they'll say, okay, here are several options that we can do. Okay, we can do it at this rate, this rate, or we can do it at this rate. And based off of that, you have 3 choices, I guess. You can choose that, this, or that, or none.
Okay.
That's all it is.
So how would somebody get a hold of you if they said, I have a business that's growing, I have small retail, small service. How would they get a hold of you?
You can go to my website. That is proactivepaymentsolution.com.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very, very, very easy to navigate.
Mm-hmm.
And you can go down to contact.
Even I could navigate it. That takes some
Yes.
doing, right, Taylor? So he's not shaking his head. You betcha, because he knows
You have no idea.
how illiterate I am. But there you are.
Yeah, and it's try to make it as easy as possible, because if I want to make it as easy
Mm-hmm.
as possible, because I mean, for one, you're a business owner. You have all this you gotta worry about, from employees to to whether you're a food vendor, food and your product and packaging and this and that, and I try to make everything as easy as possible for everybody.
What type of business do you look for?
Me personally, my what I look for is restaurants and some gas stations.
Mm-hmm.
And what's really interesting about the gas station is most of them are the owner has multiple locations
Mm-hmm.
on there. And say one guy can own a Shell here in town,
Mm-hmm.
he probably owns 4 others in Dallas,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what's really great about it, because if you get one, you can get that whole area right
Mhm.
there. But yeah, you can contact me on proactivepaymentsolution.com
Mhm.
and contact us, and I have my email on there as well, and you can send me a message, and if you're ready to go, I have everything set up from name, business, and statement that you can send over.
Is business increasing a little bit? I mean, it takes a while, doesn't it?
It's quite a bit. It's kind of hard to do it right now.
Yeah. So you're really making some progress then? 'Cause
I believe so.
it takes a while to build a business.
It does, because this is actually my 3rd business that I've tried.
Mhm.
My 2 other businesses that I've I've tried. My first one was with a friend, and well, we're still friends, but
Mhm.
we just don't do business. And then the other one I tried doing by myself.
Mhm.
Put a lot in that backpack, tried to lift it
Mhm.
up. I couldn't. So that money was, I say, invested,
Mhm.
well invested, because
Mhm.
my 3rd one, which is this, I believe I just need to put everything I got into it, and got a little older, got a little wiser, if anything, and to make this business thrive. But it's really about relations,
Right.
just talking to people, and just building a repertoire within the community. And I enjoy doing that, because even with my job as an electrician, I still go around to different businesses. Like right now, I'm at a hotel.
Mm-hmm.
The owners come in all the time, because we're building construction going on, and he's talking to a bunch of trades, and asking, hey, small details about this and this and that, and I talk to the owner sometimes. It's just building relations of just to get a build repertoire. That's all. I mean, that's really all it is, and I enjoy it. I really do.
Well, we're getting close on time, so we're going to run through the sponsors real quickly, and then I'll give you the last word as a guest. I always like to let people do that because they're tired of hearing me talk. And so there you go. So thank you to Daniel across at Burleson, 317 Southwest Wilshire. Hope you're doing well. Hope you and the family are doing well. Check it out for the programs and training and whatnot. Also, Shandy, thank you for your longtime patronage of this show. Daniel and Shandy are original sponsors, and I appreciate their support. And so, Shandy, hope you're doing well with Ronald and the kids. If you're looking to move, she's the one to talk to. Thank you, Rex. He got hammered in the tornado, so I hope things are getting better over in Egan. But anyway, Russell Wealth Group, myfinancialbox.com. Hit the link, and they'll be able to set up a time in the meeting, have a little coffee. And also, thank you to Gayla. Hope you're doing well. I know things have been tough today, but we'll see you next Wednesday, and hope that things are going well for your business. I'm sure they are. Every time I go over there, it's a lot of people over there. So thank you to Southern Jim. Thank you to HotWorks. Get yourself an infrared workout. It's supposed to increase the quality of your workout and the impact of your workout. Thank you to Otto. So after you've done all that working out, you can go put those calories back on. You work out, you go to throw the iron around at CrossFit, and then
Good workout, good food.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
I love
Then
this.
okay.
Wow.
So there you are, and you can eat guilt free. Thank you to Chris over at Wild Cigar. Like he said, the Masters will be on. It's going to be great. Get your cigar, get your drink, have a good time.
We'll swing by this weekend.
You
then.
ought to. It really is a pretty nice place. There's nothing like it in Burleson. I don't know if you say you had a cigar every now and then. You walk in there and you can smell the aroma of cigars, but it isn't like a big cloudy room. They got it well ventilated, so it's very nice. Also, thank you to yourself. I appreciate you being here, giving us a lot of good
Thank you,
insight.
sir. I appreciate it.
A lot of good insight about this whole immigration situation, and hopefully, people that hear it won't be thinking, in absolutes, because it's a very difficult subject. Also, thank you to Tiffany. I look forward to Tuesday. I have a pretty busy week next week. Monday I'll be ranting and raving about. I've been reading a lot about inflation coming up, and I'm going to talk about that on the show. And then I got Tiffany on Tuesday, and then Thursday I got Megan Hollowell Swearingen, who works at Next Step Women's Center, and they have the Walk for Life. And then on Friday I'm going to have Cindy Nolan, probably Andy Nolan, with her, and Andy's running for Justice of the Peace for Precinct 3. I'm going to talk to her about being a wife of a police officer and a politician and all this other stuff.
I can't wait for you. To
Yeah, they live up the street from us, and I'm sure they're very interesting stories. But anyway, Antonio, give us the last word that you want our vast listening audience to hear.
Left, just from my point of view as an immigrant, left or right wing, we are still one bird, and it doesn't matter what our views are.
Mm-hmm.
We should. I may not agree with your views. You may not agree with mine, but I appreciate your view because it gives me insight, little by little, as we go down. Because the world changes. Change is natural, and one day you think one way, the other, get switched. But overall, I appreciate you to be in this country. I appreciate our servicemen and women abroad and here at home. Appreciate you, Mr. Allard, for bringing me on here and for teaching my sister and I just the history of this country.
Well, it's my pleasure.
And I really appreciate that. And, thank you.
No problem. Well, this will be out on YouTube. I think we do it simultaneously. This will be out on Apple and Spotify pretty quickly. Being Saturday, our schedule's a little bit different. But share it with your friends,
Yes, sir.
particularly your friends. And also,
Yes,
if you're listening, if you have friends in similar situations, I think this will be a very interesting perspective to hear. So I look forward to seeing you all Monday, and take care.